Hey guys, this is Brandon from the Undead Club, and you're listening to Heavy Mental Breakdown.
Brandon, brother, thank you so much for jumping on this, man. We're on two different coasts here, so we definitely made sure to make this work with our scheduling, and I appreciate the time. Welcome.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me, man. We really appreciate it. Amanda and I both do. Sorry she
Cool.
couldn't be here, but that's just kind of how it worked out today.
Yeah, yeah, no worries, no worries. So for anybody who hasn't heard of the Undead Club, what can you tell us about you? What's your guys' mission?
Um, well, I guess at its core, it's really just spreading awareness to people that struggle with the disease of addiction, whether that be alcoholism or any other illicit substance, but also bringing in the mental health or the co-occurring issue when it comes to mental health and substance use disorder. And it's pretty much all encompassing whatever we can do to help another person through the one day at a time approach to their struggle with addiction and their path in recovery. We really just we want to help people out. Amanda and I were both, we both struggle with addiction. Me more drugs and alcohol, her more with alcohol itself. But we've been there. We know what it's like to need support. And that's basically our mission, man. And do it with showing people they can have fun. That recovery is not just like, all right, I've gotten sober. Now what do I do with my life?
Yeah.
I even go to concerts anymore.
Right. I was literally just going to say that because that's where my mind goes a lot when I'm at a show. Like, I want a beer or something, but I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't. And then I start to think maybe the concert's not going to be as fun as it used to be if I'm not, if I'm not, intoxicated or something like that.
That was my thing, and Amanda can really attest to that. It's like, what am I even going to be able to go to a punk rock show and like be around that and not get loaded?
Yeah.
And the truth is, yes, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It keeps your mind more effective when you're in the mosh pit, and it keeps your vision more clear to see if
Oh
that
yeah,
person's coming and running at you.
yeah, you're focused. You can dodge. You can weave.
Exactly.
And you remember it the next day, right?
Right. Right. How long have you guys been doing this for?
We started in July of this past year, so July of 2025. I think it was
Oh,
actually
okay.
4th of July. So
Well, you guys
yeah,
have really grown since then in just a quick time.
it took off really fast.
Yeah, holy
It's
shit.
funny, like we kind of did it on a whim. It like started one night when we were having a conversation, and I can tell you all about that and how it actually got started. And then it just kind of like started rolling into this thing, and people started like responding really well.
Yeah.
And we were
It's
like,
really
okay,
needed. That is a major issue right now. A lot of the bands that I bring on have lyrics inspired by some of their addictions, and the most common one is alcohol. A lot of us are drinking to cover up our emotions and feelings, and instead of talking about them and maybe going to therapy, they drink, and it becomes addictive, and it affects everything down to the lyrics of their music. It's wild, the effect and how much it spreads throughout your life if you have an addiction like that. It's pretty wild.
yeah, I agree. I think it's normal. It's been normalized to suppress, and not talk about mental health issues for a very long time. And that stigma is just finally being broken slowly, or it's dissipating and slipping away with
Yeah.
more people that are coming out of the woods and out of the woodwork and saying, hey, like this should be talked about, right?
Yeah.
And I think as artists, I think artists, musicians, whatever your bag is, it's a lot of those people do struggle. They have they have creative brains and like pasts that their outlet is music and art. And I think that bringing this awareness to it and letting people realize, like, hey, it's not taboo to talk
Hmm.
about, like even suicidal ideation, um, whether it be like plans or intents, things like that people struggle with that are very, very real. I think it's a much needed conversation in a lot of circles that's finally opening up.
I agree with that. My podcast is actually somewhat new as well. I put my first episode out in March.
Oh wow.
And from March to October, I put out 7 episodes. However, through October through probably now to the end of February, I'll probably have up to about 75 interviews.
Oh wow.
The and so kind of listening to your story about this is new, but it's kind of taken off. And for me, my podcast is still not even in its first year yet. And I wouldn't say taken off, but I mean, but the numbers we're doing right now are wild. And so the truth is in the numbers. People are listening. People
Yeah.
are interested in hearing other people talk about it, and people for your page example, going and looking at that kind of daily inspiration, and how much effort you put in it, because everyone likes to see, hey, if these people are doing it, so can I. And I think that it's hugely in men. Would you say in what you're doing that you see your biggest audience being men?
At first, it really was. It was predominantly men. I would say the numbers percentage wise, it was like 75% men and the rest women, right? And through time and Amanda, so she's really like the brains behind a lot of the imaging and like this. She's a creative anyways when it comes to aesthetics, and she needed an outlet since she couldn't do what she used to do. So she started curating things to where it was for men and women. At first it was like, all right, it's this like tough punk rock, like feel and vibe and like zombies and dark and 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 then she was like, what are the the women are really not responding. And I was like, like, well, do whatever you need to do. And she was like, I'm gonna do that. She was like, I want to do something for the ladies. And so when she started doing that, the numbers started equaling out. So I
Yeah.
would say it's still more predominantly men, but there are a lot more women that are responding these days.
75% men is a lot. For my numbers, it's 85% men, 15% women right now.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
But I've only had, so out of like 33 episodes, I've only had 3 women come on the show. So
Mm.
that's probably something there, just because I haven't interviewed as many women. Um, but I still haven't seen the numbers really drop. I've just found it interesting that the audience was 85% men and the age ranges were 25 to 34.
Yeah, that's kind of, I think that's the ballpark we're in now.
Yeah.
There are some older, like it was surprising one day. We looked at it and it was like 35 to 45 or 50, something like that, for like a chunk of the people that follow our page. And that kind of, you know, blew me away, because I was like, I really thought the younger crowd were the people that were following us. But then it shifts. It's weird. It kind of comes in phases. Like the numbers will bounce up here and then they'll come up here. You
What do
never
you
really.
think is causing that?
Um, I think it's the content that Amanda might be putting out. I think it's also there were like, so we did the podcast with these guys, the Hopeaholics, and when we did that, like one of the people that is on the Hopeaholics, she's very well known. She's a celebrity. So when we did that, it really kind of like threw a curveball in everything that we were doing, because Amanda, she got she was kind of focused on in some of the, I guess, some of the content like highlights that they put out. And so I think a lot of women were like, "Hey, look at this girl like being completely transparent and honest, sharing her story and being really like on the real with what she's talking about,
Mm.
very vulnerable." And I think people responded well to that. And she's just got an energy about her when she talks. That's one thing I was telling her. I was like, I'm gonna kind of miss you not being on the podcast because you bring the energy. And she's like, "You're fine, dude. Go for it." But yeah,
She has full trust in you.
yeah,
Love it.
apparently,
Love it.
yeah, apparently she does. She does.
So what is Brandon's story? What brought you to the point where you're at now?
Oh man. Okay.
I know a little bit before this you were talking about some bands you used to be in and stuff. What's just a little bit of your history?
Okay, so it's strange. I live out here and I lived in cities for a while, but I grew up in a really small town in Texas. And in that town, it's very like uh, southern, I wouldn't say redneck, but there are a lot of cowboys.
Hmm.
It's a very, very southern influenced town. But for some reason, me and a group of my friends we were really influenced by skateboarding culture and punk rock and well, not just punk rock, any music really. And so that was the thing that kind of like set me apart with my friends early on. But I had a sprinkling of like definitely functional alcoholism and some drug addiction in my family. And
Mm.
I kind of ended up in high school finding my way into a band by picking up the bass, and somebody needed a bass player in our first band, right? So I did that, and that took me to, as you know, music venues, shows. There's a lot, usually with the young crowd, there's a lot of drinking, or there's a handful of drinking, and
Yeah.
that was attractive to me because it was normalized in my family growing up. So, but I always said I would never be an addict. I always said I would never get addicted to a drug or, be strung out on anything. But I guess, I'm a God guy, I'm a higher power guy. So I guess my higher power had different plans for me. Um, but yeah, I started playing music more and more, and I had a little bit of anxiety, and I had some trauma that happened early on in my life. Had a little bit of anxiety because at this point I was playing guitar and singing for bands and getting up on stage and being like the guy in front singing. I needed something to cut the edge off. So alcohol was my best friend. With alcohol after
Your
shows,
best friend. That's tough.
it was, yeah, it was my best friend. And,
Wow.
like I relied on it and it was always there for me.
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
was, it was always,
It was your safe space.
it
Yeah.
was,
That's
it,
wild.
yeah, like the stuff that was going on up here, right? The stuff that I didn't necessarily want to think about or want to feel. What was the answer? Hang out with my best friend.
Yeah.
My best friend, alcohol would make me feel better. And he had some friends with him, right? He had friends called cocaine and pills, and
Yeah.
and I like to hang out with him too, right?
Mm.
And the older I got, the more I got into the music scene, and that became a big part of my life. The more normalized for me my drug usage and things like that were, but I always kind of kept a grip on it to where it didn't unravel or didn't really just burn everything to the ground. And one band led to another. I was in LA, then San Francisco, and then back to LA. And the last band I was in, um, we had, it was actually pretty good band. And we started picking up some steam, and people were kind of noticing us. We were starting to get asked to play bigger shows, opening up for different bands, and a couple of small labels like ask us to ask us if we wanted to release singles on their labels. So of course we were like, absolutely, let's go record. I had the budget for I had my budget for our recording, and my bandmates had theirs, and I happened to be dead in the middle of an opiate addiction that no one knew about. I had started using painkillers, and I'd gotten quickly physically dependent on those painkillers. And before I knew it, I never really knew what opiate withdrawal was like. But before I knew it, I tried to put them down, and I was sick. And so that led into me buying them on the side, and I spent our entire recording budget.
Oh,
Yeah, well, at least my portion of it.
sure.
And that really just kind of like took all the steam out of everything, right? Like I had to go into a place to try to get help. My bandmates, who were like my best friends then, were like, we can't be in a band with you anymore. And I think at that point, I didn't realize it then, but that was the beginning of the end for me, you know. Like,
How old were you when that happened?
I think at that time, I think I was around 32.
Okay.
32 when that happened.
Yeah, that's right in that age range I was talking about.
Yeah.
Right smack in the middle of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I was around 32 at that time, and I was married at that time. I had a newborn daughter at that time. My band was starting to take off, and I just I really my addiction took hold of me. It had its fangs in me, and if you know anything about opiate addiction and alcoholism, it controls you. It controls you, and you make judgment calls that you would never, ever make in your right mind. And like spending your entire recording budget on pills just to maintain and not be sick, right? So, needless to say, that all just it came to a halt. And then I found myself afterwards just continuing to struggle, have an ongoing struggle with the addiction, and lost more and more and hurt more and more people as well as myself, until I finally came to the point where I was like, this is enough. I've had enough. I need help. And that was in it was April 23rd of 2018.
So I want to go back just a little bit. You were talking about the withdrawal of opiates and just what kind of that effect has on you, what the drug has on you. I definitely don't relate to that experience. However, the feelings that you were expressing, I have highly felt. I am bipolar. And so when it comes to impulsiveness and spending money on things that are in the moment, it makes sense, or, you know, the mood swings and, you know, everything like that. Like, I feel that daily, you know, and alcohol it's a weird thing for me because I have been addicted to it for sure, and it runs in my family as well. And there's been times where I have a hold on it, and I don't drink for like a month. But then, you know, I'm in a very like manic depressive mood, and the impulsiveness just doesn't care about anything else. It just cares about that singular moment and nothing else. And so I might resort back to alcohol, and then it affects my wife. You know, it starts to affect everything else around me. So having that impulsiveness and that urge to kind of break it or to affect the ones around you, that's when I realized I needed help, is when that really started to take off a lot. And it's weird that we don't really take control of these things until we absolutely have to.
Yeah, right.
Wild. Like we wait until it all burns down to start trying to fix it. It's weird.
I think that's it's like it's our survival state kicking in, right? That
Yeah.
survival state. It's fight or flight. It's weird how it kind
Yeah.
of comes into play with something such as bipolar disorder, you know. I was gonna I was thinking like I'm sure at this point you have a very well-rounded like lifestyle that you live to kind of keep that disorder like not at bay, but like at
Yeah.
least manageable, right?
I go through phases.
Hmm.
There's times when I feel like I have a huge handle on it, and then there's times where I feel like I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
And alcohol actually is extremely bad for people with bipolar. It just like enhances those moods to an
Hmm.
extreme, and they're already at an extreme, but it takes it to an even bigger extreme. And you were talking earlier about, the stigmas around talking about these things and like even suicidal ideologies, and that is a huge thing when it comes to bipolar, especially if you've been drinking.
Hmm.
We tend to have suicidal thoughts way more than anybody else, and I think the statistics for suicidal tendencies in people who are bipolar and that are not is extremely massive.
Yeah, I agree.
And people with bipolar have a lower life expectancy just because of the things we go through. High blood pressure and just mental depression, and it can cause other things when you're not in your right state. So it's kind of wild, and it was really hard. It is really hard to deal with.
Yeah, I agree. And my father, he's bipolar with manic episodes. He was diagnosed when I was younger, and he doesn't take care of himself
Mm.
in a manner that's well rounded, and he hasn't for years. And he's also like he's pretty heavily medicated. Um, but I've seen that firsthand, and I always knew that there there was something with me, but it wasn't diagnosed bipolar. But there were other things. But I always looked at that, and the more I studied psychology, the more I worked in treatment and people with co-occurring conditions, and people with specifically bipolar, I
Mm.
realized the necessity for a very regulated nervous system, and what encompasses that, and what's needed, which is like proper diet, proper sleep,
Yeah.
proper medication, proper support, right?
Yeah.
Self care, you name it, right? It's a very well-rounded, like, as you
All of
know.
it. All of it. all the things.
Yeah, and like somebody that I can really get honest with, someone that I can really tell the truth and that understands that, like, I do have this thing. So if I say something or if I'm expressing myself, you can hear it and actually listen to me and meet me where I'm at, as
Mhm.
opposed to pass judgment or tell me that I'm wrong for or criticize me for what's going on with my mental health right now, right? Because
Mhm.
we have the peaks and valleys are serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you say in your field of helping people, and um did you say something like that you work in the mental health aspect at all, or did I?
Yeah, no, I do. So I work as a drug and alcohol counselor. I'm a KDAC too,
Oh.
and when I first started working at the old treatment center I worked at, we didn't deal with a lot of mental health. It was just substance use disorder. With every now and then, we had like somebody that was diagnosed, but it wasn't focused on, right? And then the company shifted, and it was substance use disorder, mental health combined. So I started really paying attention to this stuff, and having been raised with a father with bipolar disorder, and then also having my own mental health issues, like I really started paying attention to things, and I started listening to and talking to a lot of therapists that we worked with, and our clinical director, and I wanted to know more about it, so I started studying psychology, and now I
Interesting.
still work as a drug and alcohol counselor, but
What year did you start doing that? The counseling.
ooh, 20 at the very end, I think it was December of 2020, I was asked to start my internship, paid internship. So pretty much the beginning of 2021, I started counseling as an intern, and then in 2022 I was licensed or certified, and so I've been doing it since then.
It's inspirational to hear this story because one of the things that I want to point out is that 2020 was a very hard year for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and the alcohol alcohol played a huge role in a lot of people's lives just to get through the day. You
Hmm.
know, the fear, the anxieties, all those emotions, and the fact that at that year you decided to pick up a new career and go a different way and
Hmm.
help people instead of getting, because it's so easy to go back to that when things are rough.
Yeah.
And you know, any one of us can go, well, it was 2020, things were confusing, I lost my job, my parents had COVID or anything like that, and if you resorted to an addiction from the past, I don't think most people would judge you,
No,
because of the time that there was.
for
And
sure.
for addicts, they see that as an opportunity to get back into it without judgment. But you went the opposite way. Not only did you stop, but you wanted to actually make a difference in other people's lives. Was there anything in 2020, because you said you started at the end, was there anything that year that sparked you wanting to do that?
Yeah, I think it was a progression from the day that I stepped into treatment for my own substance use disorder. It was strange. Not to make a long story short, I went from being a patient or a client to living in a sober living to being asked to manage a sober living
Mm-hmm.
to to
What
being
a wild
asked,
turnaround.
right,
Good
to
for
being
you,
asked.
man.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those stories that um to me it's miraculous, like to be the person that like overdosed, had organ failure,
Oh,
like
shit.
yeah, like the things that I really like. I tell people, I'm like, I really shouldn't be here.
Mm.
Like, I mean, people can exaggerate, but I'm like, I don't. It's to me, it surprises me. But yeah, I ended up managing sober livings and then being asked to work in treatment. And I was managing the sober living and working in treatment at that time when that happened, when 2020 happened.
Mm.
And we, as a treatment center, just started getting people coming in
I bet.
left and right,
Yeah.
but that they weren't working for one, two. So they had the time to go to treatment, and then there were the people
Yeah.
that just started drinking and using a lot more because one, they weren't working, or
Yeah.
two, the state of the nation, right?
Yeah.
So
What a wild time.
it was a wild time, but I think really what it boils down to is, when you found yourself having this life that you never ever imagined falling into addiction and succumbing to such low lows, or falling to such low lows, and to the point where you're homeless, and then you have these people like lift you up, carry you, and like they love you until you learn how to truly love yourself. To me, that was so much bigger
Yeah.
than any desire to be on stage or to be in a recording studio and play a song. I love music and I miss playing it, but the idea is to like help people, right? In this existence,
Yeah.
in this brief like little hiccup we have of a life. And some people do it through creating art and creating music. And I always told people, I was like, there's enough bands out there that I really like that are creating like really kick-ass music. I think I'll be all right if I don't create some mediocre music, and I just help people out. Right? If I don't create mediocre music and I let the professionals do that, and I help people with substance use disorder, then we're good.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? I wanted to tell you about this new thing that I am launching, and it's called Breakdown Sessions, where I will be breaking it down with you. I will be launching my Patreon very, very soon, and one of the tiers is a breakdown session where we can just talk and hang out. You know, it's not therapy, it's connection. Connecting with someone who understands you, who gets you, especially in this metal community, in this rock and roll space. We all kind of get each other. We understand it. We know what you're going through. I know what you're going through. Trust me, I've been through a lot. It's going to be something that I'm offering very, very soon in my Patreon. I want to break it down with you. Let's talk. Let's hang out. Get out some of that weekly frustration on me. I'll take it. I'll hold on to it. Check it out very soon. Let's be healthy again, huh? Yeah, it's good when you have a clear vision of what you want to do compared to what you're good at and what drives you. Because we all have things we want to do. But I think we all kind of have something where it's like, but I'm really good at this, and this is my passion. But I also want to do this, 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 and that. And so when you can focus in and be like, you know what, I think this is the route to go. It's almost like a relief on its own, where it's like, oh, now all this pressure's off. I have all these other things that, like, yeah, maybe I'll get back to one day, but this is what's working right now. So I'm going to keep going this route.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it sounds like that's what was happening with your music. Maybe in the time when you were playing shows, like there was a part of you that didn't want to be there doing that and felt like that environment was really bad for you. So you left it and then found yourself, and now you're helping others. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I was telling somebody the other day, they were like, I forget who it was I was talking to. It was like, there's nothing that I don't have a desire, and I don't miss walking into a venue early before anyone's there, and it smells like the alcohol from the day before.
Yeah.
There's still sediments of cocaine on the ledge in the urinal, you know, and then I'm setting up my pedal board and my amp on like a really grimy stage, and then like I go on, you know, later, I'm tipsy, I miss half the lyrics. And you know, like I like, it was fun while it lasted.
Sure.
It was, and like I'll always like look back and go, I'm really glad I did it. But this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you brought up music and you playing music, and there's other bands out there who are making kick-ass music. So that brings up my next question, and that is, besides the music that you played and in your touring and in your shows that you did, how does music play a role in your mental health, and how does it help kind of guide you through some of the just hard times that you might have just struggling with day-to-day life? What does music do to you on kind of just like a mental level?
It's funny, I was thinking about this yesterday. So I'm pretty regular on going to the gym these days, just to not to get big and buff, but just to stay healthy, you know, as I'm getting older. But I was listening to a track off of, I think it was like Pretty Hate Machine or something, and or maybe it was Broken. I can't remember what it was. A Nine Inch Nails track, and you know, it's pretty. That specific track was pretty aggressive, and I was like, you know, this is exactly what I need. Or Sisters of Mercy came on right after that. And I was like, this is exactly what I need right now because the mood I'm in, right?
Right,
But then like later on in the evening, I can throw something on that, like, you know, can totally shift that and put me in like a serene state. And then there's like the nostalgic stuff. And I think mental health wise, like I utilized music in the past to justify or to amplify my emotions that weren't serving me.
I was just thinking about that the other day.
Yeah.
The other day I was pissed off about something, and I just put a bunch of music on that was angry, but I found myself just being more angry after that.
Yeah, for sure. That's something I've had to be really aware of. It's like, what am I feeding myself right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah,
Like,
and also the same thing with being sad. There's songs that I put on when I'm in a really sad mood, and it just breaks me down and I start crying or whatever. I'm just like, this is not, I'm sadder now listening to this music than I was before I even put it on. It's a weird thing that music does to us.
yeah, yeah. I think it, like they're like vibrationally, and then when it comes to what's going on chemically in our brain, it really has an effect up here because not only are we hearing it, it's vibration, but the emotions that it's, like what it's stimulating in our brain is kicking us off, and like it can amplify it. I like how you said like you listen to something really angry and heavy, like when you were pissed off, and you just got more angry, right? It's like I wouldn't, like, if I had like a stomach virus, I wouldn't go and like get a bottle of whiskey and a pizza, right? Because it probably wouldn't help me, but
No, probably not.
or drink a gallon of milk. But like we think that. But on the flip side of things, sometimes, and like, you know, sometimes we need to feel that. We need to have that cry. And that's something that a lot of men won't talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the first thing I'll tell you as a man. I was like, real men actually do cry. Sometimes we need to have that, man.
Yeah, I'm
Sometimes,
so open about that. I'm very
yeah,
open about that.
yeah, for
I'm a
sure.
crybaby.
Yeah, people are like, "Oh, you're just soft." I'm like, "Nah, I'm just this is a real man here, right?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Okay, keep lying to yourself." But yeah, man, I think like, God gave it to us for a reason, right? It's an emotion that I think if it takes some really sad song to pull it out of you, then so be it. Maybe that water needed to flow. I saw this tattoo yesterday. It was like can't remember exactly, but it was basically some eyes, and the tears were coming, and then the tears were watering a flower that was growing below. It was like, yeah, the idea was that it's these tears come and they allow growth.
Yeah. That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's a cool tattoo. I'll shoot it to you when I find it.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be cool. So I can't help but realize and just want to ask about it real quick. You've brought up God a couple times. You've brought up religion. Was that always part of your upbringing, or do you think since you kind of have gone through this journey of getting sober and helping people that like was there any part of the religion that plays a part in that, or has that always just been part of your life?
It's interesting because I've been having a huge shift with the idea of ideologies lately.
Me too.
Uh,
I'm going through that too, man.
I was raised Catholic, and
That's exactly why I asked you that question, because I'm just like, oh, I wonder if he's got some good knowledge for me. I wonder, because I'm going through that.
well, I mean, I've went down so many different rabbit holes with spirituality, religions, philosophies, belief systems, and I I I believe that we are spiritual beings, quote unquote, whatever you identify that as. There's some kind of something flowing through us that is ethereal and we cannot see. I do believe that there have been some people in the past that have really tapped into that, and I'm a big fan. And like, so sue me, but I'm a big fan of this guy named Jesus. I really am. Super cool guy. That being said,
That's your new best friend. It's not the alcohol anymore.
He is my homie. He is my homie. Yeah, but do I identify and agree with a lot of what Christians these days believe in and would say that comes straight from the Bible? No, I don't. I'll be honest about that. I have a good friend that I used to work with. One of the coolest guys I've ever known, and just genius, really funny, great sense of humor. And he's Muslim, and it was funny. He and I had a conversation one day. We were like, he was like, "Isn't this funny?" Because he was sitting in a desk over to my left. So like, isn't it funny? Like, you and I can sit here and have a conversation about our beliefs and what we feel this is, and we're sitting here laughing about it
and not
and
fighting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like, and we're agreeing that the other party, it doesn't matter what they believe, but what are our similarities, right?
Right.
Oh, and we're both
Ugh.
humans that bleed,
Yeah.
we're both humans that bleed and breathe.
Yeah.
And we were laughing about it. I was like, man, I really wish we could get the rest of humanity on board with this.
Dude, that's wild, because that is why I started this podcast. I'm like, let's just talk to each other.
Right?
Let's just talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's be open. And, politics come up, religion, race, gender stuff. I mean, I've heard it all in the podcast, and I love it because let's just talk.
Yeah.
Good things happen when you talk.
That's the thing, is like, I think the world, and I'm just a drug and alcohol counselor who's living in Temecula, who struggled with substances for many years, right?
But also who's now helping people get through their stuff. So
right, but like, why don't we just talk? Let's just talk. Like, let's just talk. Those three words, if a lot of people just would open their mind up to, let's just talk, man, imagine the changes that could happen. Right?
Yeah. So just going back a little bit, so do you feel that your kind of recovery era was inspired by faith or God, or was there any connection there with the sobering up and changing your life, or was it before that? Okay.
No, it was.
So you found strength through that for your recovery?
Most definitely, I found strength through that, but it was strange for me, and I don't know if it was because of the substances I was on at the time, but I remember a shift happening with me mentally, and I remember starting to think different about things, and it was funny because I was like asking people, like, do you feel like there's something like a shift going on like in the world today? And they were like, I think you're really high, man. And so I would just be like, okay, whatever. And then I came to this conclusion that my drug usage had come to a conclusion, and my drinking had as well. And I remember a girl called me one day. I was homeless on the streets, and she called me and she was like, hey, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm ready to go get help. And she was like, well, what's changed? I was like, this is going to sound really weird, but I think it's God. And she was like, there's a long pause, and she was like, well, that's good. She was like, I hope you do get help. And it wasn't a week later that I was in treatment.
I knew that there was a connection there.
Yeah.
A lot of people, myself included, because actually going back to earlier, where I was saying a lot of us don't fix our lives until we absolutely need to. And I think a lot of us find religion and faith when we need to as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Or revisit it,
Sure. Yeah.
And I think like at our core, like, we need to, and this is something Amanda and I talk about a lot, is like the gift we were given of humility, right? The gift of humility, when you finally have been given that, and that, to me, that's one of the greatest gifts that God gives you, is the gift of humility, is to surrender and say, I am not God here. And I need to find a new way, whatever that looks like. And that's when your ego, because like the ego death starts to happen your pride starts to like kind of wither away a little bit, you know, and you're able to like open your mind and open your ears to hearing a different way and maybe thinking about a different way to live life. And that's something I've gotten to see, because my recovery journey started before Amanda's, and I've gotten to watch her, like her spiritual awakening happen.
Hmm.
Right, and that was like I couldn't stop smiling for like a week, and I've gotten to see this and her like take off with this movement, with the Undead Club, and I'm like along for the ride, and I throw in some ideas here and there, and I help out, you know, and we do certain things together, but she just like commands the visual stuff and the wording. She's got a way with words, but I've gotten to see her have this like journey, and it's such a beautiful thing to be able to be witness to someone, like to their mind and their life being lit back up by this force greater than them.
What this almost reminds me of is when you have an addiction, and you are trying to withdraw from it, you need another outlet. There's
Mm-hmm.
something, it's really important to have something else to go to, especially something creative and artistic. And it sounds like you guys started your mission right when I start, for about the same reason I started mine. I feel I needed to do it, and it was my place to go to escape my own thoughts. And it was out of necessity because it's something that mental health is something that I've struggled with, but I've had a really weird journey with it. And it's important for me for others to have a space to tell those stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that for you guys, it almost came out of necessity too. And this almost seems like the outlet for Amanda to have when she's kind of like craving something or wants to go to a show and have a drink or something. It's like, no, I'm going to put my effort into the artwork or writing or just trying to figure out what's next for the company. There's no better outlet than something like that to help drive you and keep you off of going back to that.
Man, you couldn't be more spot on. She actually she just shared that in a discussion with somebody the other day. She was like, and secretly it is a little like, she was like, it is a little self-serving because it keeps me sober.
Yeah.
Because it's like service work is a huge aspect of recovery, and for a lot of people, right? And this is the way that because she talks about what she's going through, right? She talks about, she puts out content about something maybe she was struggling with that week, or something she and I were talking about, or something that morning she might wake up with anxiety, or maybe the night before we were at a show and she had a craving, right? Or during the holidays, that was a big one. But yeah, this has been fundamental in her recovery, and it's been. I'm just so happy that like it came to fruition, because it really has been. It's been one of her best friends in this whole. Yeah.
What was your outlet when you were going through your stuff?
I would say so. I was a really big 12-step guy. I mean, I still am. I still believe in 12 steps, and I don't go to as many meetings or as religiously as I used to, but I still do attend meetings, sponsor. I have one sponsee right now, and I have a sponsor. But I would say,
Good for you.
yeah, thank you, thank you. That was a big part of my recovery. That fueled it. But I was really broken because I'd done a lot of damage to my body and my mind and my emotional stability, that it really took me to just that whole first year. I was just basically like showing up and like grabbing my seat and listening and like sharing when I could. And I think the people in the rooms, the support that I found, and then I was almost like uniquely put in a position to where I didn't have anything else Like I didn't have any money. I didn't even have a car for the first like year and a half. Um, and I just had to be of service and I had to go to meetings and now I look back and I'm like, I got to be of service. I got to go to meetings. I got to meet all of these people, and that fueled me for a long time. Was that, and then learning that like I have an opportunity to also live a life today. You know, Amanda always she'll say this to me, like, you don't have to be a martyr. And I'm like, you're right.
Yeah,
Thanks for
we do it to ourselves.
right.
Yeah, it's
Like,
wild.
I'm a people pleaser. But
Mm.
yeah, it's also now it's like finding the inspiration in like being having my fiance and being a partner, being a future stepdad to her kids.
It's all so
Having,
much bigger than yourself.
yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
I get to live a pretty chill life today, and
Yeah.
that fuels me.
So in your line of work and just in your experience with the company, what would you say is one of the best ways of coping with an addiction if you're just getting started? If you kind of just came to the point of realizing this is what I need in my life, I need a change, no matter what kind of the addiction is of drug or alcohol, just in your experience, what is kind of the first step, or is it kind of determined on different factors?
I mean, I would love to say there is one. There is one. There's one answer for that, but then there's also like there's tailor-made answers for that too,
Sure.
um, which is something like they teach you when you start working with people. But the one thing I would say, and I said this the other day, and I had I had a patient come in the other day, and she's homeless right now. She has lost her kids, um, you name it, right? That she's experienced it, and it's funny. It's not funny, but it's interesting because I remember sitting in her seat. Like
Mm.
I sat in her seat, and I said, it was like, you know, and I told her a little bit of my story. And I was like, I used to be at a methadone clinic. I sat in that seat. I was homeless. I told her some of the story, and she was like, she started laughing. Actually, she went from like bawling to like laughing and cracking up by the end of the session. But I essentially told her like, you're not alone in this. I know like it feels like you're alone, but just know that there are countless people out there that have struggled with this and that are recovered today or in recovery. I was like, and if I can do it, I was like, if God gave it to me, why wouldn't he give it to you?
Mm.
So I would say just being honest with yourself and others, open-minded to a new experience, and being willing to do whatever it takes.
Mm. Willing is the key word there. You
Willing.
can't help somebody who doesn't want the help.
That's true. That's true. All day long.
Yeah.
All day long. Yeah.
So one thing that I think is cool about that interaction you had is I think maybe one of the reasons and that she went from bawling to laughing with you because she knew that you got her. It
Oh yeah.
wasn't it wasn't like some other therapist who has no experience or a doctor who has no experience in the actual mindset of someone who's going through it. I think those are two completely different things. You can be experienced therapist, have all the schooling, but if you've never gone through something, it's really hard for your patient to connect with you. Yeah, you can throw all the terms out, you can throw out, what degrees you have, but if you're not connecting with this person who was going through this in the moment, it is, very, very hard for whoever you're talking to even really kind of take you serious. And I'm saying that from experience. And that's partly why I started this podcast, is because I feel that a lot of us, especially men, don't really have somebody to come and talk to that they feel can get them where they need to go, or just understand about the touring process or the creative process, because all those things are such key factors. They're huge.
Yeah.
And you can talk to a therapist about it. And of course, therapy's good. I just had a therapist meeting today, so I would never say not to do that. But I think we feel better, and the mood totally changes when you're talking to somebody who you know for a fact understands you on a deep level.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely 100% agree with you. It was funny when she went from crying to looking down to, after I kind of told her what I told her, self-disclosure. She looked up, and it was funny. She looked up and kind of had her head down, and her eyes caught my eyes, and she was like, "I can talk to you then." And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
we can." I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah." I was like, "We can get real in here," and
Yeah.
that was the and I told her, I was like, it takes one to know one.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's like sometimes they trust you a little bit more.
Oh,
Sometimes,
100%.
yeah,
They're more open, they're more vulnerable. There's a huge comfort in just knowing that the other person's gone through it too.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
you also get worried about talking to someone who doesn't have that experience, because you don't want them to judge you. We all have that fear of just like going to somebody and being judged because they don't get it. But if you're in that kind of atmosphere that you and her are in, and you telling her you've gone through it, I'm sure that was just that was night and day.
yeah. And I needed it too when I was in treatment.
Sure.
Like there
Oh,
were
yeah.
people that were like, they told me, like I had a counselor sit down, and he was like, "Let me tell you a story," and he disclosed his experience with addiction, some of his experiences, right? And I looked at him and I was like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, man. Like I get it." And that made me immediately trust him.
Yeah.
Like I was like, "Okay, like I can get down with you," you know?
Yeah. And that's why I think these episodes that I'm doing are very important, because people can listen to some of their favorite artists and be like, oh, this person went through this and now they're here. I can do that too. This person used this as an outlet, whether it be Amanda, an artwork, and, if she's having a rough day, going to the art, going to the company, or if you're in a band, writing song lyrics, writing a riff on guitar. Like these are all amazing outlets to have. And so when someone has gone through that too, yeah, it's pretty life changing.
Yeah. I think it shows people too, like that they don't have to lose who they were. I know that's something that Amanda always says, is like, you don't have to, like, you can pick up the things that you lost or you set down in your addiction, and you can re-experience them. And you don't have to lose who you truly are because you're putting down this thing, because really it's been robbing you. Like really,
It's not losing who you are, but losing the version of you that wasn't good for you. You're still there. You're still there.
Yeah.
You're 100% still there, but you're kind of flushing out the toxins.
Yeah. It took me a while.
That's about it.
Yeah, like it took me a long time to pick that guitar. I'm looking at my guitar, one of my guitars right now. It took me a long time to pick that thing back up and to play with conviction again, and to play like I was really trying to, like, or I was really having fun, and losing myself in like creating chord structures and like just different things in a riff for like 30-45 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
It took a long time to like realize that like the old me wasn't gonna just like the old like devil wasn't gonna just come back up and be like, haha, gotcha.
Yeah.
And it was a struggle for me, but I think like through doing this whole movement that we're doing, it's just letting people know, like, hey man, you're actually getting a new lease on life, and like you're getting, like you said, getting rid of that toxicity, that
Hmm.
was hindering you and your creativity.
Yeah, and you talk about the like the punk scene and the concert scene of feeling the pressures of some of those things, and one thing that I love about you guys is that you're going the sober route, but in the punk rock scene, because I feel a lot of people think that's just part of the scene. That's what everybody does. That's a big part of it. And so if I want to be a part of this, I need to do this too, because we're all just looking for something to hold on to or to feel that we're one with, or a community to be one with, and we do these things that are really bad for us just to be accepted.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel punk is one of those scenes that this could be, well, is um, really essential and needed.
I think it's like the ethos behind it, and like realizing that, like, okay, let me roll that back. It's like when I was younger, I needed a gang that understood, right, or that
Yeah.
I could be part of. And
Yep.
I think everybody wants to feel a part of, but a lot of people that struggle with substance use disorder and or mental health issues don't feel like they fit in for one reason or another, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to be an addict to feel that way.
Yeah.
I
When
feel like,
when Linkin Park put out Meteora and Somewhere I Belong came
Mhm.
on, that was my song, man. I'm just like, I wish I can find somewhere where I belong.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly it. And the record that we wrote, my old band wrote right before we split up and we recorded, the songs are about, like, if you listen to it, you're like, it's like, if you really know what some of the lyrics are about, you're like, damn, that's really dark stuff.
If you ever
Um,
want to come on and break down a song from your band, I think that would be fun.
yeah, yeah. You
It
know
would
what?
be cool to revisit some of your old lyrics and some of your old mindsets from where you were back then and where you are now. I think that would be a lot of fun, actually.
It would. It would. I was When we first talked about it, I was like, oh, that's a whole different episode.
Yeah,
But yeah, we could
yeah,
totally do that.
that'd
It's
be fun.
I'll send you a link to the record, and then you just listen to it, and if you find a track on there that you're like, hey, this is obscure. I want to know what this is about. Let me
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
looking for those kind of songs all the time.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll definitely send me one.
Okay.
So what does 2026 look like for the Undead Club? What do you guys got coming up? I know that you are big on, pushing the mission and spreading awareness, but you guys have merch that you sell. Do you do events where you go out and promote what you do? What does 2026 look like in the growth for the company?
The growth for the company. It's funny you asked that, because we were just having that conversation last night. We had someone that follows us who's a veteran that's in the punk rock community in Vegas, but he knows a lot of well-known guys in the punk music scene. And he was like, hey, I'd like to get you guys out here and get involved, da 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 da. We were like, for sure. Like, we definitely would love to be involved. And after we got off the phone, and we talked about how we wanted to get into festivals and at least set up a booth and
Yeah.
possibly like hold a meeting, right? Like hold a meeting,
Yeah.
like be like a, a safe space at a festival where people that are clean and sober can come, do a check-in, maybe even do an interview with us, tell us who they are, what brought them to the festival, what brought them to recovery, da 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 da. But have a safe space where they can go, and also, obviously, we want people to have the merch. Like, we don't, like,
Yeah.
we want, not for a financial gain. That was another part of the conversation, was like, we're not trying to like have the Vans company over here, the Vans of recovery. Like, it's just really about like, let's create some cool stuff
Yeah.
and make
This is the perfect outlet for you guys because you're not looking at it at a financial standpoint and really wanting to like, yeah, we sell merch, but we'd rather give it away. Like, like we
yeah,
just want people to feel good and wearing something as a reminder of that.
yeah, if we could give it away, like financially, if we could give it away and it would just cut even, we would totally.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's just where we're at.
yeah,
Amanda probably would be like, I don't know, man. I spend a lot of time on that page.
sure.
But no, that's really the idea. And it was like, you know what, let's just spread awareness. This is us like giving back to the community. But I think 2026, to answer your question, is we want to like, we don't want it to overtake too much of our time because we value our peace and our serenity in our like in our new life. And she still has young kids that we're raising, but I think it's really, we know a guy, we're friends with a guy who does Ohana Fest, and so
Ohana
we're gonna
Fest.
get in. Yeah, it's down here in Southern California. I think it actually was like, I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think Eddie Vedder had something to do with like getting it going. I don't know if he actually started it. He might have actually started it, but we wanted to try to
I'm
get
gonna
it.
look into that Ohana
Yeah,
Fest.
yeah, it's actually this past year the lineup was pretty cool. But I think Eddie Vedder did actually like kind of spearhead part of it. I don't know if he did it on his own, but yeah, that was something we want to get involved in, and then maybe some other festivals, do some outreach stuff, and to just continue to grow this thing and see really what comes our way.
One thing I wanted to go back to, you're saying maybe get into a festival and have a meeting and talk to people who are, sober or struggling with it. The cool thing about it, if you are interested in doing that, the very cool thing is you don't have to do that at a festival. I guarantee you, if you were to hold something virtual, you'll have people come.
We've thought about that too. Yeah,
They'll come.
like, okay, all right. Well, I will take that, and
And
put it.
I'm down to sponsor in any way. I'm down to promote it, send everybody your way.
All right, all right. And same here, man. If there's anything we can do for you, to help promote you, because like what you're doing is amazing. Like
Thank you.
really, yeah, it really is, for not just someone that's like, hey, I've got a passion for this, but also like you're telling your story too.
Yeah.
And so like the honesty and the transparency and the courage that I know what that takes, and like putting yourself out there, like this is also, it's probably helping you as well.
It does. There's so many times, and it has nothing to do with who I'm interviewing or the band or anything, but there's so many times that I book an interview, and there's times I just want to cancel it. And I'm just like, I don't have I can't, I'm in this really weird place mentally. How can I jump on this and act like I'm, this mental health person, but I can't even take care of my own shit, and I don't know, I feel the pressure so much, but then I just like, this is why you're doing this. This is why,
Yeah.
because it's not only therapeutic for the artist, but it also is for me too. So I'm like, and then it's funny, like when I get off the interviews, I'm always like, oh, I feel so much better now because I was able to get some of that out.
Yeah. It's funny that I was gonna ask you that. Like, do you feel better after the interview? And
Oh God, yeah.
they always say that, like, if in recovery, like, if your head's telling you you don't want to go to a meeting, or you don't need that meeting, you definitely need to go to that meeting, and you need that, right? And
What do you think that is? What do you think that voice is that tells you not to do it when you know you should?
Oh man, so many levels of, like, I think the mental health variable comes in there, right? Because early in recovery, we're experiencing something called PAWS, which is post-acute withdrawal syndrome, and it has varying symptoms. Which a big one is depression. Another one's mood swings. Another one's anxiety. Another one is like emotional dysregulation. So anger, you name it, right? It's like a mixed bag of like some of the worst symptoms you can possibly experience, right? So I think that comes into play. I also think that people with substance use disorder, whether they've been diagnosed or not, many of them do struggle with some kind of mental health disorder. And then it's just the day to day, like, I've been to like 3 meetings this week. Do I really need another one? You know, sometimes you're just exhausted.
Yeah.
You're exhausted and you're just
It's not easy to hear it sometimes too, where like you have a problem, you've already accepted it, but stop reminding me. Like I know. You know what I mean? Sometimes those meetings can just piss you off because you're just like you're mad that you're even there in the first place.
Yeah, I've Amanda shared about that a lot. Like I don't like the idea that I have this this thing, right? Like I'm an alcoholic. Like she's like, I don't want to tell myself and continue to reiterate that belief because it's not something that it has kind of, for a lot of people, a negative connotation, right? And so she's like, I don't want to just like constantly tell myself that. And then finally, like, we'll go to a meeting and she'll speak up and share, and people will tell her how amazing her share was because it is amazing. She's like, she says great things and she's very open and honest. And then she's like, man, I'm really glad we went to that meeting. I'm like, yeah, me too. I didn't want to go either.
Yeah.
You know,
one thing I would like to say. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was going to say one thing that I wanted to point out about that is you said Amanda says to herself, or out loud, that I'm not happy that I have this disease, or that I have this thing in my life, that I'm an alcoholic. One thing that I wanted to say there was, what we say to ourselves is one of the most powerful things in the world. We have these traumas from the past, and whether it's family trauma or school stuff, whatever, we hold on to these things that people say about us and we start to believe them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it's so repetitive, or you make it repetitive in your head and you're just like, I can't believe that person said that about me, or am I this, am I that? So the things that we say to ourselves, they stay with us. And it's because it's of repetition. Mm-hmm. And if we can reward these things in our heads, it could be life-changing. It's not going to happen immediately. It's not going to happen after a week. But if you can just get in the mindset of saying, I'm no longer an alcoholic, that just manifests you not being one. And then you don't, because if you tell yourself you're an alcoholic, that's almost a way to accept that you have this, and that's what you're going to be.
That you're flawed.
You've accept that you're flawed, and you see yourself as flawed. But if she starts to say in her head, I am no longer an alcoholic, I am stronger than this, then the alcohol is gonna it might get easier, because then you don't think in your head anymore that you are an alcoholic, so you don't need it.
Yeah,
it's wild.
I totally agree, and I think that's what her point is. Every time she like talks about that, is like she identifies, when we go to a AA meeting, she identifies as an alcoholic because she respects the traditions, right? And the formalities and things like that. But she's saying the same exact thing you are. It's like, what am I manifesting? What belief am I manifesting about myself and who I am and my identity?
Yeah.
How I feel about.
When you say the words out loud to other people and they start associating you like that too, and then it becomes a whole thing. Yeah, it's wild.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There's a really cool documentary called Anonymous People. But it's about breaking the anonymity aspect on a personal level of the recovering out loud, and like wearing it on your sleeve. And one of the guys in there, he says, I am a person in recovery. I'm a person in recovery, instead of saying I am an addict.
Yeah.
And which I like the terminology, I like the verbiage. I can respect that, and I think I hear it sometimes in the rooms too. People will say, "My name is so and so, and I'm an alcoholic in recovery, or I'm a recovered alcoholic." And
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, okay, I see what you're doing. I
You're
like
right.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
The mind, the brain is an interesting thing, Brandon.
it, it definitely is. And I think, yeah, like it's funny. Like I was thinking about this on the way to work the other day. I was like, okay, so you're studying psychology, but like in 10 years, everything you learn now will be so outdated.
Yeah.
I was like, you're picking something that you're going to continually have to study. Like, it's
Yeah.
not, it's not like, all right, I'm going to learn how to paint cars and it probably won't change for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Adapting.
Yeah, that's cool
There's going to
though.
be new problems that come up that are going to cause problems for people. I mean, I think you put the news on and some of this stuff is just writing itself, and it's like a lot of
Yeah.
people are feeling pressures or other emotions from just putting the news on these days. So it's like we're always adapting. Everything
Oh,
is changing. Look at AI. Like I feel like everybody's in a place right now where their jobs are going to be completely changed in the next, couple months even.
oh, for sure. For sure,
So
man.
it's like everything is constantly changing, but I think it's cool that you chose that route to go out of all the routes. And I think this story is very inspiring because you started off with, talking about your parents and how it runs now, alcoholism and drugs runs in the family, and your addiction with it and your journey through it, and how you've completely and being homeless and completely turning it around like a 360 moment. And 360, 180, 183. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe, yeah, maybe it was a 360. Maybe I did
Yeah.
come full. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, see,
because then, yeah, because then you were in the office sitting with someone who you were in her, that seat one day, and that's just
Mhm.
wild. That's just so wild to me. Like, what a turnaround! And you talk about bringing faith back into your life, and that's one of the things that ultimately helped you. And now you talked about being married before, and now you have a new love in your life. And, when you have someone who understands you and is your support system at the same time, that is a extreme blessing, man. There is nothing better than having someone that you love and that loves you and understands what you're going through and there for you. And you guys can do it for each other.
Mhm. Yeah.
And now you're running this company, 6 months into it, and you're already, or 6 months or so, but and you're seeing the results. You're seeing what was needed, and you guys just did it.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's real, it's honest, and it has a lot of heart in it, which is something I think our relationship it really has. I get to do this with my best friend.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I was married once before as well, and I have a new wife, and she is the greatest person I've ever met in my life.
I love that for you, for both of you, man. That's so
You
cool.
know, and
Yeah,
it's not. I know that my stuff is not easy on her, and so I am extremely grateful for her. I think we found each other when we needed to, and it was a really weird story how it all worked out. But it seems like things happen in life when they need to,
hmm,
like your company and the podcast and your new fiance is just like and figuring out almost like what your purpose is. And I want to help people. I don't want anybody to feel what I felt at my lowest point. And I think that there really isn't anything stronger to do than to dedicate your life to working on yourself and helping others. There's really nothing better than that.
right. It's like I think it is like the meaning of and the purpose for like us,
Yeah.
like the human existence, the human experience is like it's about connection, right?
Yeah.
Like how am I going to connect? And don't get me wrong, man. I got my own mess upstairs, and Amanda is a saint for you know living with me in that too.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I feel you and I have so much in common, man.
yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah, I was like, I think we're gonna be friends after
Yeah,
this.
yeah, probably. Well, if there's one piece of advice that you can leave with all the listeners based on what you guys are doing and what you have experienced through your line of work, what is one little thing you can leave us to close out this interview to spark? If there was one thing, what's your message?
Oh man.
I put you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm like, this is where Amanda would come in with a really good one-liner. I would say, don't let fear dictate what your life could be, and give yourself the opportunity to step into fear, step into this whatever the unknown, and see what your life could be without drugs and or alcohol controlling your life.
I love the step into the fear. And it's wild. My mind went to a visual when you said that. And I saw a bunch of people standing outside during a storm. And there's a bridge in the middle. And they all need to get to that bridge on the other side. And if there's a storm happening, most people will run back in and wait until the storm's over. But there's always one person is like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick this thing out because it's just temporary. And when I get to the other side of this, I'm going to be much better.
I love that.
Stepping into the fear.
Yeah. I love your visual, by the way. That's
Thank
cool.
you. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on here, man, and talking about and for doing what you guys do. Would love to break down one of your early tracks one day. We'll listen to it. We'll dive into the lyrics, and it'll be cool too because I know this Brandon, but I don't know the other one that wrote this music, and so it'll be fun to kind of have that moment. Just another full circle moment. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Let me know whenever you're ready, and I'll shoot you a link to the songs.
Okay, that'd be great.
For sure.
Well, I am holding next year, it's either in May or June, the first Mental Fest, where I'm inviting a lot of the bands who I've had on my podcast to come, and we're putting on either a one full day festival or a two night thing. It hasn't been decided yet, but I'm looking for people to spread their awareness. So I would love to be able to have you guys involved in that show in some way. Have like a booth or a banner, or just like, us collaborate together to get your mission out there too. That this is exactly what I'm looking for. And I think we're all kind of all looking for. So I think it'll be fun for us to connect this summer as well. Yeah. Get more awareness out for what you do.
Yeah, if I know anything about Amanda, she'd be like, "All right, so when are we leaving?" So we'd love to be involved for sure.
It'll be in Brooklyn, New York, so it's a little bit of a distance from you guys.
I actually have a friend, one of my best friends growing up. He runs a like an audio visual company there in the city. So
do you know what it's called?
I don't right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'll shoot that to you. But he's like, he pretty much runs it now. He's the man there. I don't know how he got there, but he got there. So good for him.
Cool. Yeah. All of our journeys are so wild sometimes. The turns that we take.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, you guys are. Yeah, I'm gonna have other companies there just talking about what they do. Handing out flyers with QR codes that lead to websites and just more resources and stuff like that. So it's going to be a day of heavy metal and mental health. Mental Fest coming soon.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait, dude.
It's going to be cool. Well, send my love over to Amanda. Hopefully, we can do this one day with her and get her insights. And I love how she's using all this artistic work um, outlet. That's the word I'm looking for. As an outlet for what she's going through. So would love to pick her brain sometime, but let her know we all say hi over here on the podcast. And thank you again, man. We're gonna be in touch very, very soon.
All right. Thank you again for inviting me on, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Of course.